All right. Good morning and welcome here on the Tech Leaders stage. Welcome you all to the We Are Developers World Congress 2024. Before we head off with the program, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Claudine Zillmann. I will be moderating the stage today. So whenever you have a question, feel free to reach out. I'm a former developer, now Scrum Master, working in tech for more than 17 years by now. And yeah, enough about me. I would like to give you some brief event-related infos. So the Congress you are on is possible thanks to all our partners, our media partners, and our community partners, and also thanks to all this amazing stuff around to make all this smooth working. For you, some informations, you might know all those this Congress app by Swapcard. If you don't have downloaded it, do so. It will help you very much scheduling all the talks you want to see, finding out which exhibitors are there. You can create your own profiles and connect to each other, chat with each other. And very important for the talks, you can use the Q&A function to ask questions to the speakers. For your well-being, also quickly about foods and drinks, we have a food court outside. It's at the Dev Square and at the Dev Plaza. And the local coffee is provided by our barista sponsor, Neon. It's in Hall A and Hall 2-2, so both of the halls. If you have any questions during the event, feel free to visit the registration desk or the We Are Developers Lounge in Hall 2-2. So, last but not least, I would like to inform you about our code of conduct and show you a quick video. So basically, what it says, be nice to each other, but that's, I think, pretty obvious for all of us. So now let's come to the first talk and meet Kai Müller, the CEO of Experience One, and Sebastian Luxem, CTO of Experience One. Today, they talk about digital co-CEOs. Don't we all dream of having some digital twin who helps us with all the repetitive stuff you do? And yeah, it also tells about the 5 levels of generative AI experience. So now, with a big applause, welcome on stage Kai and Sebastian. With every CEO needs a digital twin to understand the scope of generative AI.
Thanks. So welcome everybody and very good morning. We'll try to make this as entertaining as possible as a kickstart into the day. And before I get into our introduction and to the story, I want to set the expectations clear for this morning. So yes, we've created a digital twin 1.5 years ago, who's since be a co-buddy and co-CEO to me. And from that learning together, we figured out how that changes our view on the overall landscape of generative AI that we're, I think, all curious about what's happening. So before we fully deep dive into that, short introduction, it's just, I'm Kai, CEO of Experience One, and I brought with me Sebastian, our CTO, to give you the business and the tech perspective of how we tackle that. Yeah, I already saw that. It's switching to autoplay. It's messing up things. All right, we'll try to figure this out. So let's deep dive into that. As we all know, we taught computers how to communicate like humans and to solve problems like humans. This is basically what we're dealing with, which has a huge impact on a lot of things. Also, the metaphor and things like the digital twin. But before we go into our experiment and really deep dive into a lot of demos and explanations of what we've learned throughout the last year, I want to give you a short overview of what this scope of generative AI might look like, to have a frame set for us to really go into understanding where this is leading us. And I chose an example a while ago that I usually take. You probably know this guy, Brian Chesky, CEO of Airbnb, to pick a simple example we all get. And in this case, it's just traveling, right? Someone is messing with that. Wow, really nasty. Give me a break. I'm cutting this off. So hopefully it does not do autoplay now. So what he said is we're building the ultimate concierge with generative AI, which basically means, okay, we're throwing everything away that we're currently doing when we're dealing with Airbnb and exchanging that with a totally different experience. We sketched that out to give a feeling of how generative AI can impact businesses such as Airbnb. Of course, it would, in the first step, start, and this is something that's probably sometimes underrated with generative AI. We all jump into how smart it is, what problems it can solve, and we take for granted that for the first time we truly have impersonification and real personas, and we can put people in there with a reasoning and understanding of actually providing personalization to us. So that would probably be the first step to really say, okay, as a travel mate, who knows me, who knows my family, who knows my trips, who knows what I did last year, what I like in holidays, what I don't like. So that's the basic start in the first level, what I would expect from this ultimate concierge. The second one would probably be that I say, okay, I need a travel assistant. I don't want to scroll websites, explore stuff, and do all the hassle stuff. It's probably, this device suggested that. For those of you who've tried it, don't. So as you know, it's a total mess. It doesn't work. It's one of those scams that try to leverage generative AI, but it pitches the idea of a travel assistant that I can just tell, I want to go to London and do this and that with my family easily. So if it would work, that would probably be the way that the travel assistant of Airbnb could look like.
For example,
on a third stage, we don't need to listen to this guy. On a third stage, and that's the most exciting one on a third level here, I would expect it to be proactively, not right now, like with assistants, I can ask, I can do stuff, really calling me up saying, hey, it's about holidays, I found an offer that you could pick, so really driving this. So for the first time, generative AI would be in the lead. The fourth one is basically actually scaling stuff, so it feels like Airbnb, to me as a user, would be like they have a full travel agency just working for me, figuring everything out. So no trouble at all anymore. And at a fifth level, which is probably the most advanced one, it would be really, I have a true innovator as my travel mate. He comes up with stuff I haven't imagined so far. So he's calling up people who didn't think about renting their home and then doing it, or creating completely new spaces, buying a tent, sending them into top of the hill, whatever. So this one's really totally creative. That's what I could imagine the ultimate concierge could do for me. So we sketched out 5 levels. Imagine that to sales assistant, support, whatever use case you have in a company. That will be a huge impact, obviously. But how do we navigate that? And what we did early this year is we found a reference. We basically work a lot in the automotive space, so it's natural to look at the 5 levels of autonomous driving, a lot driven by artificial intelligence, to get a framework and say, okay, we do this stuff here for 30 years now, so we probably might learn something from the regulations in autonomous driving where we have a little support in level 1 and 2, and then it's getting really fun with level 3, where the car is taking over, which means we have a system change here. Because the car is responsible, the car can do mistakes, so the OEM probably will be charged if anything goes wrong. So we took that and asked ourselves how this relates to the overall levels of experience we can expect from generative AI to have a navigator. Because in this overhyped world that we currently have around the topic is, you get sold everything, it's on every headline, and you don't know how to navigate that. So we took 5 levels based on a DeepMind concept on AGI from a couple of years ago, and matched this with the expectance to the kind of experience that we probably will see. given this example with the travel maid, into 5 levels. And these 5 levels basically are, and you all know that, if you're using ChatGPT or your company has rolled out ChatGPT or Copilot, a lot of software that basically solves problems for you, then you're basically like all of us, if at all, in level 1. That's basically what we do, and that's basically what also the tech companies say where we're currently at. And from there on, if we're talking about not only solving problems, but we're having conversations with a start and with an end, and artificial intelligence can help me solve problems, we're moving into the second space, and that's it. We haven't seen a lot of things in level 3, 4, or even 5 so far, except very simple, narrow AGI cases like AlphaFold from Google, who's finding biochemical solutions to problems. That might be, but in the world that we live in, what we can experience, we haven't reached that level, but it's definitely the most exciting one is starting from level 3, because generative AI can take over and really cover a lot of work. Actually, what's from OpenAI is the reference to the timing underneath, which says what's the scope of work that generative AI can cover. And Sam Altman once said that we're moving from tasks that take a couple of seconds to minutes in 1 and 2. And from the Copilot stage, we move into hours of work. So GPT-5 is expected to cover 5 to 6 hours of work that you would have to do. And we're moving to days and months after that. So we take that as a framework and say, OK, that really helps to understand the scope of generative AI. But why using digital twins? Because this is basically an end result. To get there, what we did is not really just pop it up and say, OK, we got to figure it out. That's the 5 levels. What we started with, and that's the intuitive part, and Sebastian will take you through that. The first thing that we did is actually create a digital twin, and yeah, Sebastian will tell you which one that was, and we'll show you how it works, actually.
So maybe roll back the time a little bit. How did we get here? It all started at the end of 2022, 23, when the whole Midjourney and ChatGPT hype train was going strong. I had a lot of tech talks and talked about those topics in my company, but it did not get the impact, or the people did not get the real sense of what this technology is capable of doing. Then we had our start the year in the company, and again, I should prepare a presentation about all the impact and all the possibilities, and I thought of myself, why just another presentation? Why not use, for example, a clone of myself or a digital persona to do that talk? It was a little bit, I didn't want to hold the talk, I just wanted to code at that time, so I thought, yeah, let's do it that way. And we started with that. And since you all know, as developers, naming is hard, our first AI persona was called AI Jürgen, and I, Jürgen, did the whole talk that I should have done in the start of the year and talk about those topics. And this was really the starting point. It gets some conversations going. But still, the impact was not great enough, in my opinion at least. So I thought it has so much potential. Why not try top-down? So I said, OK, let's start from the top down. So maybe not clone me, let's clone Kai. And that was the birthday of Grumpy Kai. And I will give you a small glimpse, since I want him to help me with presentations. And I also did it for today, if he could maybe help me with my presentation today. So give him a second.
Really? You need my help, Sebastian? Typical CTO, always relying on others to do the work for you. Can't you handle it on your own? I've got better things to do than hold your hand at some conference. Figure it out yourself, Sebastian. Grumpy Kai out.
We made him grumpy. Why did we do that? Grumpy is easy. Constructive is hard. Or we wanted to have 2 purposes with Grumpy Kai. It should get attention, and it should polarize people, and it really did. And Grumpy Kai is, I would say, one of our AI solutions that's used the most in the whole company, since we don't know why. Everybody likes if somebody yells at them and say that they don't do a good job. So, but it was just the starting point. Now I had the attention also from Kai, but now we also have to deliver from the tech, not just grumpy, but make it constructive. So we develop a system how we can get to that. We fastly learned that we need to break it down into different sections. We started with character, knowledge, skills, visualization, language, and appearance. And those are also the dimensions that we then, in different teams or in collaborative teams, work together to make Grumpy Kai a constructive Kai. So we started with our character, getting the prompt priming right, getting the persona right, getting the way he talks right. And we learned a lot about prompt priming, prompt structure, but also about measuring how a prompt really performs, since our old gut feelings did not work, so we need measurement mechanics for that. Then we went over to the knowledge part. How do we give him knowledge that he really can talk about topics that we care about, not just yelling at us that we're not doing a great job there? So we explored a lot in the rack systems. We had chunking strategy, ETL pipelines, and really learned a lot there. And also, we pretty fast noticed that everybody forgets the forgetting in those systems. So how do we maintain also data over time, and how do we give him new information over time so we have some sense of learning or evolving over time there? Then we looked into the skills part. How do we teach him new skills that a normal LLM is maybe not built for? We went into fine-tuning of open source models and also ChatGPT fine-tuning. Tried different LLM combinations there, and also tried to how can we combine middleware, that's where we can give it tasks that it should process outside and then put it back into the system there. So we experimented a lot and learned also a lot there. On the visualization part, it was more like in the beginning, how do we just get a persona or a digital twin to look like somebody? So we learned a lot about, for example, mid-journey training, and how do we get other models to generate pictures, not just randomly, but of a person that we all know and also want to recognize there. And then on the more left side, it's more of the supporting stuff that you can do, but you don't have to for a twin. But we also looked into voice cloning. How can we clone voices that also are recognizable by the people who really know the persons? And how do we use open source models for that, for example? And the last part then was the cherry on the cake. How do we animate also those generated personas, that we get real-time video? And we learned really a lot on that topic. Not just how those techniques works, but also how do we deal with latency? How do we deal with those sequential processes that add up, that we now want to do in a more clever way? Can we split it into different parts that we can already process and stitch them back together? So we really learned a lot. And yeah, this was one of the bigger parts.
All right. I'll show you some results of what that actually looked like in the further examples that we have. And as you can imagine, it took us a couple of weeks to get that off the ground. In the beginning, the more constructive version. A year later, it's been down to sometimes minutes or hours from where generative AI, if I can figure it, it took us weeks to figure out how to use or to clone my exact voice. And the initial version in January of last year would have cost like $500,000 per month. Working with 11 labs as a software today, it's like almost nothing, and it's fast, and you can use your own model. So speed is amazing. So we took on the challenge. I said, okay, I don't want to just be grumpy in the digital version. Let's more a constructive one. So another one we did 2 months later. Unfortunately, a German example, but it's a colleague asking whether a text colleague working in text, whether she'll replaced by AI, and what I think about that. Hopefully it plays.
Muss ich als Texterin in Zeiten von generativer KI um meinen Job fürchten?
Wir setzen generative KI ein, um Menschen zu befähigen, nicht um sie zu ersetzen. Stell dir vor, du hast einen aufstrebenden Junior-Texter bei dir, der von dir lernt und mit der Zeit eine wertvolle Unterstützung bietet, so wie ich es gerade für den CEO mache.
So a little uncanny valley, but as you can see, a couple of weeks later, we mastered the full real-time voice control, having all kinds of interactions, get the performance right to work with real-time video. The current version, which is still under development, covers a couple of more use cases. I just picked one, and as you can see, and this time based on the software HeyGen as a provider of the video, this is what we got in a year from the initial version into full screen real-time video that my wife and kids can't tell that's not me. The current version, and that's what we're working on, is actually helping our colleagues in the company train them to pitch so they can interact and show things how they would pitch a topic, and the
Willkommen zu
co-CEO
deinem
helps.
Pitch-Training. Du kannst direkt loslegen, ich bin ganz Ohr.
So that's right. He's ready there for pitch training, but this is really something we were working on because we are reaching the limit besides the visual part, that he can really actually help with these jobs. So that's how far we got the digital twin from now on. But if you look at others and look at a study from November last year in the US, a lot of CEOs already think we're at a state or can imagine a state where AI would replace the CEO at all, and I think, and 46% of them even think that's a good idea. That's probably not my purpose or my understanding of it. That we're running into a future where you can say, oh, okay, as another GPT, let Elon Musk run the company for a couple of weeks. I don't see us getting there, but it's all over the place. When I was speaking at the World Economic Forum in January, as you can imagine, there was just AI all over the place, and the question I was being asked and referred to as, can AI run a company? My working with my digital twin for 1.5 years, it can at least not lead a company. So executive assistant with a couple of problems. Level 1, remember, no problem. Ask me anything like putting stuff in there, providing advice for your employees, stuff like that, no problem. Helping do stuff like pitch and being more of the assistant level 2, already getting tricky because technology is just not there. You can start with that, you can work with that, but it doesn't work yet. And taking over as a CEO as an AI is just far from happening, and still something that I think we won't see in the future. But it got us to the point that we said, okay, it's naturally to try that, to do that, and it helped me to be in the shoes. Everyone's talking about how much employees lose their jobs because of AI. I wanted to feel whether my job's also under attack or every CEO's ones. And if I understand, I can probably help for the better and actually control and understand the scope of generative AI. That's why I say I suggest that every CEO should do that, because after running through the 6 dimensions, whether you're a computer scientist or not, you know exactly how tech works. But that was the CEO chapter, and from there on we said, okay, if we can build stuff like that, we can jump, and that's what generative AI, other than the digitization that we had so far, does. It doesn't go against processes, it does go against roles. So we're talking about roles, and there are so many more than just the CEO, and Sebastian will take you through more examples and roles of where we went from there other than the CEO.
As a small addition, we now had the whole interest of our CEO. So now we also got attention from the outside. So one of the first things we had, an editor of the German magazine Der Stern got in touch with us and also wanted to have a digital twin and wanted also to have the full experience. How would the process look like to go through till he has his own digital twin? So we invited him. And we took the full tour with him. We took photos of him. We trained our own stable diffusion model. We had voice recordings of him and trained a voice clone of him. We had a small interview with him where we asked him questions that we then used for our prompt priming. And also we indexed or embedded a few of his documents and articles he did in the past. So we, after approximately around 3 to 4 hours, we had a digital twin of him where you could ask him about articles he wrote, and not just about the article, since we also got the content like how he came to the article, for example. You could ask more, ask questions to article, ask questions behind the article. So I will give you a small glimpse of that.
Another tab.
You can see it's still one of the early versions, a little bit uncanny valley there up top, but it's now a question to an article where he interviewed Boris Becker. And now he explains what Boris Becker did in the prison to not get insane.
Im Gefängnis hat Boris Becker Hilfe bei einer über 2000 Jahre alten Denkschule gesucht und Konzentrationsübungen gemacht, um nicht wahnsinnig zu werden. Er hat sich mit der Philosophie von Seneca und Mark Aurel beschäftigt und seine Erfahrungen in einer Art Knastbibel festgehalten.
This project really helped us to not just organize us and get our opinion on the topic, but also to formulate our voice, how we want to talk about those topics. And after that, we also wanted to use that to give the same experience to our employees, to the whole company. So we had a team building event where everybody got together and we built the teams, and the teams then were able to generate their twins they wanted to create. And we had a few different sorts of twins. Later on we had HR twins, we had mental health twins, we had even twins that should deal with tricky customers and how you can get off tricky situations there. So it was quite a good experience for everybody to get involved and to try around, to play around and get the same experience. We used for that our own, let's call it Twin Studio. This is our product there where you can easily generate a twin and give it all the information you want to give him, that it fastly works there. And this was also an experiment driven by tech, since we don't want to have just tutorials. We wanted to see if it works as a product. What do we have to do to really get it done? And our main surprise there was only 20% was AI, 80% was normal software development stuff. So quite a good experience there for us. We even took our clients on the same route. So we gave workshops to our clients, and they built then their buddies or their twins. And now you're seeing it's getting more and more into roles there. They wanted an onboarding buddy, not a twin of somebody, but an onboarding buddy, and they called him Hannes. And we learned a lot about their processes, what they think. Also, we built this prototype together with them. So there is rich text, there are code snippets, tables, images, different data sources, a lot of ETL processes behind that. But now there is an onboarding buddy. You can ask every potential stupid question, and he's trying to help you with that. And then transitioning even more into roles, we have one product or project where we're working into why not just have a synthetic customer or a synthetic customer group in every meeting? You can ask questions. So it goes to the data that you already have, but now you can talk to him and ask him questions and think about, would this be important for you? So this is something that we're currently trying to work into.
All right, coming from no meeting without a customer that's actually participating and that you can ask if that what you're doing is right, which is something that resonates with all of our clients. A short look back before we get into the finale and the final example that we have. This is still all level 1. Whether you use the digital twin as a vehicle or something else, it's still level 1. No matter what others tell you, most of the stuff that we do is basic 1. But there are a couple examples that can, of course, do more than that and just interact. And we've got one example to show you that where projects are stepping to, and a lot of work's done on level 2, probably with a glimpse here and there of how it might look like to get fully independent AI workers with level 3. But we've got one more example here, and with our background, it was natural. We've seen a lot, and you know them, support use cases that are very assistant-like, because support is very documented. You have a lot of conversations from the past. You know what to do. So that's where AI totally thrives. And generative AI can help you replace support workers easily. That's what's happening, and that's what you see in the headlines, whether it's Klarna or someone else. Totally different with sales, because no one's documented and no company really good or does accessibly or is able to tell you what a super salesperson is. Even though everyone's talking about it, most of the companies have these rumors of there's a super salesperson who sells everything to everyone. But that's actually pretty tricky. We tried that with an assistant already started last year, an example, and Sebastian is taking you through that with the following example.
Yeah. We have to hurry up a little bit, so
Yeah.
I make it a little bit faster. So we thought ourselves, now we have the role of a sales agent or of any person we want to have. Why not just add, for example, product data to that and really generate a salesperson you can talk to? And this was the birthday of...
Hi there, my name is Lewis. I am the digital twin of Lewis Hamilton and here to help you choose your new Mercedes. Whatever question you have about our products, I know the answer and I would be happy to tell you everything you want to know, even if it isn't about a race car. Whether you want to learn about design lines, technical equipment, assistance systems, or wondering about Mercedes connected services, I'll be happy to tell you. Let's find your dream car together.
So we not just have a digital twin, we have a brand ambassador that's also a sales person you can really relate to, and you can ask him everything you want to ask, what you normally would ask a salesperson there. And one step further, we stripped everything that you can currently see out of him, but left the skills there. And now we have a prototype where you really can, it's not talking to you,
Hey,
but
Sophia.
the same skills.
Nice to see you again. And
Okay. I don't think that it's working.
hey, Sophia. Nice to see you again.
Well, the video's killing the setup, I think.
Can you scrub through? That we can at least see what it's...
And you drove really eco-friendly last week.
Cool, that's good to know.
Actually, you're among the top 30 of all drivers. By the way, I noticed that your lease is about to expire.
That's exactly what I wanted to talk to you about.
Great. What do you think about the following options?
They look fantastic, but our third child is on the way, so...
You may need a bit more space? Wonderful, Sophia. Congratulations. Here are all the 7-seaters with plenty of space for your growing family.
Thanks. The one on the left looks amazing.
Excellent choice. The EQS SUV is one of a kind. Truly spacious, with a third row of seats and an incredible interior design.
Wow, it is stunning. What are the color options?
How about brown Citroen?
I like emerald green. I would love to see that in real life.
Sorry, can't touch this. But here it is in 360 degrees.
Can you show me the front again?
Sure.
Maybe a bit big for Berlin?
Well, you wouldn't believe how great the visibility is in this car. But just in case, I've added the remote parking assistant to your favorite equipment.
Thanks. That was almost too easy.
Of course. I think you made a great choice.
Yeah, nice. I guess that's all I need for now.
My pleasure. What would you like to do next?
So, and with that impression, we're closing just with 3 takeaways. As you could see, we think that CEOs should take responsibility and not try to replace themselves. We think that digital twins are a perfect way, as generative AI is always role-based, to really cover things. And we can totally advise or suggest that you create something like this framework and roadmap to help navigate change in your organization. So thanks a lot for your patience in listening to us. Thanks, and have a great day.
Thank you, Kai and Sebastian. So that was an amazing talk. Time flew by so quick. Give them a big applause, and yeah, see you on the conference. All right, next 10:50 will be a panel discussion by Silke Eggert and Alexander Bierke about Gen AI after the hype, transforming organizations with Gen AI-based agents. So we'll be back in some minutes.